Hey folks, Studio here. So today is Lulu Day, and Lulu, oh my god, if you weren't an imaginary video game tiny yordle person, you could be my waifu. Anyhow, today is Lulu Day, so I'm going to break down Lulu in my perspective. I do not hold the same perspective that other supports have said from what I've seen, and I think it's because she's very, very weird compared to normal supports. Nunu and Janna, for example, are very, very dependent on their carry to deal damage. Lulu really isn't. But I'm going to save that breakdown for part 2. I'll put it in the intro. It'll be like 5 minutes long or something. And I'm saving that because I think you should see how I play her first before you go, oh no, that's how I want to play her. I want to play her like that, how he's saying. Because you really need to kind of see it in action. I mean, even for the more passive playstyle. But anyhow, let's go into the replay. So first things first, let's go ahead and see who's playing who. We got Studio on Lulu. That guy's pretty cool. RINCENT on Jungle Urgot. 2 Pro for you on Caitlyn. Milks on Udyr, or MyLX. Bobby Hank Hill on Rise. Reduron on Janna. TGF Freddy on Riven. Modesty Boy on Tryndamere. Bottle O Rum on Kennen. And Illidan? No idea for that one. So, Lulu as a support, I really like her. She's very, very aggressive, very, very different. I've seen a few guides from a few other players at around this skill level, and I don't agree with them. I think people are trying to play her too traditionally. They're going for something more standard, something more safe. You see a lot more people max out her E rather than her Q, and actually leave the Q for last. Now, I like to max out the Q for lane harassment. You can do the same thing with the E, but the difference is you have a shorter range skill, and when you use your E, you no longer have a shield. It's kind of like you expose yourself. So, if you go ahead and E someone, they know that you no longer have a nuke for 10 seconds, and they can pressure you. Now, harassing with Lulu is really kind of easy, actually, especially if you go Q first. You hit people with your Q. Now, this Janna, I have a few criticisms about this Janna, but she's not used to fighting against Lulu. But I see her blow her shield, and I just keep trying to keep up the pressure. So what I said before about Lulu Z also applies to Janna's shield. When you see Janna's shield down, that's when you want to hit. When you know that there's 5 seconds until she can put it up again, that's when you want to apply all that pressure. That's why most Jannas will actually save the shield until either they're going to harass and they know it, or until their carry is taking harassment, or they're taking harassment. Like right there, Kennen could have taken 80 less damage if we'd known shield wasn't going to fall off as soon as we engaged him. We might have actually burned through shield, so I don't know. But that right there was just the strength of both Caitlyn and Lulu together. We are just going to keep poking you. We're just going to keep hitting you with these high damage skills. Lulu's damage at level 1 is 80 with her Q. That's actually really high for a support. By comparison, Sona's Q is 50. I think Jan's Tornado might be 80. But it's got a much longer cooldown and has a much different use. Kennen just was not expecting that harass. And I know that this is kind of a bad example, but this is the optimal situation. So, while you may not always have these super awesome lanes where you can just keep tossing on Qs and doing high amounts of damage and your carry will follow up, when you do, it's awesome. Also right there, you can see that Lulu's W does not remove skills that change appearance, like Garen's spin, Kennen's E will not be removed. This is super important because if not, it would be an amazingly strong counter pick skill and would just be overall broken, so I'm really glad it doesn't. And as you can see, we're doing super well, and I can tell you right now, this isn't going to last too long. We're going to screw up and start throwing really, really hard, so don't worry about this being a stomp because we stomp ourselves in at some point. Oh man, that's going to be good. But as you can see, me and Caitlyn are just keeping up pressure. We don't want to let them get any safe farm. Kennen is pretty good at last hitting under the tower, but he's still restricted by the cooldown on his Q and W. And overall, there's not much they can do to stop us. I mean, they can absorb some harass, but what's going to happen. Now, what we are worried about is a jungler. And as you can see right there, I immediately rewarded the second my ward died. Now, that was me paying attention and getting kind of lucky. But at the same time, you always want to make sure that if you're going to be pushed out like this and you have the wards to stay consistent with your warding, do it. Maybe you want to change the position. Maybe you want to, be a little more defensive or, be a little more aggressive, toss it towards dragon. But the rule applies. I'm trying to stay safe. As we apply this pressure, there's no reason to risk it. We might have died to that Riven, for example, had I not warded. If the enemy knows you don't have a ward for 5 seconds, in those 5 seconds, someone can actually slip in and gank you. And Riven there, she knew she couldn't do anything. Transmorgify is such a strong CC. Something to note is that it reduces base movement speed. Base movement speed is different from normal movement speed in that effects that increase by percentage, I believe, only apply to base. So if you get a 10% movement speed increase, that's only base movement speed. So that's very, very important. And as you can see, Caitlyn, this was actually just because of Caitlyn's Q that they won that fight. And as you can see, even at level 1 shield, Lulu can stop a Janna attack, but that's not too hard. So the reason Caitlyn won that exchange was Kennen as an AD carry is not quite the same as Kennen as an AP carry. When you're AP Kennen, you can pressure like crazy. If you land a Q, that's a ton of damage. When you're AD Kennen, you're looking for holes. You're looking for pokes. He has really good range, like 575. But you can't be, constantly auto-attacking somebody with an actual AD steroid skill. So in this case, Caitlyn's Q was noticeable. I don't know if you saw that ward. If you didn't see that ward, back up a bit. It's in the corner of the screen. The reason I saw it was because it showed up on the minimap. And you want to be able to look out for those wards that show up on the minimap, even for just a second. Because you now know they have a ward there, you can tell your team, well, this is where you can gank from. Also, that was a smug alert. We won this lane. There is no real doubt about it. We are super far ahead, but oh man. Oh, that smug bites me in the ass. And I kind of want to start roaming. I don't need to yet. And I really need boots before I can start, pressuring other lanes. But Caitlyn doesn't need my help. She's just beating them all up on her own. So I go out and I ward mildly aggressively. This is just in case their mid tries to come down through the lane. I actually should have positioned that a little differently. I should have put it where Vladimir just came out of on the minimap. That little ramp into your jungle. That would have been better for me, because it would have covered more entrances, but not a huge deal. Because we already have a coverage at a Dragon Ward that I put down right after. Anyhow, back to laning. So you really just want to poke with your Q a lot. That is how it works. You have a Q, it's a good skill for poking, you just got to keep applying that pressure. The damage on it is pretty insane for a support skill with its incredibly high range. And that's what I've been doing this entire laning. I kind of mess around a bit with her E. As when you try to get weird shots off, it's going to take a long time to adapt, and I just cannot show it off right now because I'm not good enough at it. What you can do with her E, and I don't do it a whole lot this game because I'm focusing on trying to learn how to use her Q on its own, is you can put her E on an enemy, and you're going to have a pixie following that enemy. So it turns out, when you have a pixie following an enemy, it's really, really easy to land a skill shot on them. Because a pixie is going to be right there. It's going to be a no-brainer, easy few seconds you have to land that skill shot. And this lane is just going, they're essentially gone. There's not much they can do here. And we're actually going to dive. Now, I don't really do anything here. That Caitlyn just does enough damage. But something to note, you get assists from shielding allies and buffing allies. If you're Soraka, you toss a heal on somebody, you get an assist. You use your ult, you get an assist. Right there was no way I was going to get to Kennen. So I went ahead and just tossed my E onto Caitlyn. And, well, I got my assist for it. And this Riven can't really do anything. This is just kind of the strength of Lulu again. Very, very high control. To get to Caitlyn, she had to get through Transmorgify. She got one jump off right after, and then she got ulted immediately. And my Transmorgify is up again. If we try and exchange, again, I'm just going to keep CCing her. And she's kind of like Janna in this sense. She's not as good as Janna because Janna has that massive fight reversing skill, which is her ult. If you get ulted by a Janna, you're gone. You're far away. So instead of going for just like a total fight control or fight reverse, she just has a lot of control in her W, in her Q, which, you know, it's a long AoE slow, and her ult, which is an AoE knockup and slow. Her ult's very hard to use, by the way, as a team, because you can really get a lot of CC out of it. You can get an extra Janna tornado, essentially. But to do it, you have to have someone who lets the enemy group up on him. And generally, enemies only do that when they're out of position, or when they're trying to kill someone who's low on HP. So now, someone on my team has to have faith I will ult in time. And in solo queue, it's really hard to coordinate this. So in case you're wondering, we spent like 20 seconds there running around doing nothing, because I think we expected someone else to start something. I think I was expecting RINCENT to start Dragon. I think he was expecting me to pull Dragon out. So I don't really know what happened, but it was pretty awesome because we did nothing. And there's something in this fight I want you to notice. We're not ahead in experience. We, as a group, like, we're 7 to 9. That's not bad. But Vladimir's 10, and Tryndamere's actually doing pretty decently top against Udyr. So, even though we have a lot of kills and a lot of gold, we never really denied them of experience. And this is something that is very, very important, which is you can have items, but if they're the same level or higher as you, they still have a very, very strong fighting chance. And this exchange here, I love it. We don't get Vladimir, it's unfortunate, but we still get Janna. Janna was worth full gold. Vladimir really doesn't have the HP to defend right now. And right there, this is an example. We might have been able to get Riven, I think, if RINCENT had stayed in, we would have. But, I mean, he had to be confident I was going to get that ult off. And I can be confident I'm going to get that ult off. But RINCENT isn't me. RINCENT isn't on Ventrilo with me. So, coordinating things like that is just going to be tricky. And it's just, you know, an exchange. They try and do stuff, we just kind of poke and harass a bit. Bobby Hand kill goes for some damage, but it's just not enough. It's okay, we killed Janna, got some damage on the tower. But we are falling behind in experience. Like, I cannot emphasize that we just roamed around too much. We have a lot of kills, but base stats are really high on lots of skills. And we're about to have just this terrible exchange right now. So, as Lulu, I like to roam, and you preferably want to help a lane in the most need. So, here we go, we have Tryndamere being ganked by me and Udyr. We can kill him, I have exhaust up, there's not much he can do to kill Udyr with all my CC and exhaust. And then Riven shows up, and I'm just dead. And then Udyr goes back to save me. I think he's actually trying to get a kill on Tryndamere. But Janna shows up. And it just wasn't good. I don't think it was going to be enough anyways, but we just die. And what could have gone better there? Well, Udyr should have let me die. I should have warded Tribush before going up there. And we just need to make sure that was actually safer for a gank. That was a great turnaround, but we weren't safe from other turnarounds. Had Tryndamere fought us, he would have died. We obviously were not prepared for Riven and Janna to show up, though. It's funny because Riven killed me. Janna saved Tryndamere, so that just went terribly. And then, of course, the mid gank on Rise. AD Cannon still has a lot of CC, so gotta watch out for that. But we're here. We're still doing okay. This is kind of weird for me, because in my perspective, we were doing super well, but we're actually just not CCing or CSing well. We had a lot of kills, but not a lot of farm. And now that they've gotten caught up on kills, that's bad. But that was a good ult. That was a really good ult from RINCENT. We kept Tryndamere locked down, and he just got that perfect last second Q. As you can see, both sides are kind of scared of each other. We have very, very high damage from both teams, but we don't have any tankiness on either side, really. Udyr will be tanky, but eventually Udyr kind of falls to carries and just AoE CC once you bring in Void Staffs and Last Whispers. And Tryndamere can tank for 5 seconds, but that's only because of his ult, and it will only be 5 seconds. We're just applying lots of pressure, though. We want to take advantage of our strong early game, even though it's not as strong as it should be. I mean, Ryze isn't 11 yet. Vladimir is. I believe Kennen was 11 too. It's just, you can't be too confident by the kill score, is what I'm trying to say here. And it really comes into play when you start seeing some of the things they do. I just do not expect their team to be that strong. And this is kind of another silly mistake for myself. I will go to ward. Warding's super important. You need to keep vision. Right now, I should ward the river brush right here, right there. But I'm like, oh, they're not going to be there. They're there. I die. I don't expect them to all be there and blow a summoner in my ult, but they also blow Kennen ult and Vladimir ult, and our team can actually fight that. Without Kennen ult, without Vladimir ult, if we're all grouped up together, there's not a lot they can do to really kill us. We have a lot of sustained. They're missing 2 of their really important skills. Go for it. Unfortunately, we have Janna Tryndamere fighting Udyr and Ryze, and now we have Caitlyn versus Riven and Kennen. Now, this is unfortunate because with a Janna there, the only way that exchange was going to end was with either our team dying or their team getting away. And obviously, Janna, or Riven and Kennen are going to beat a single Caitlyn. But we just have a lot of fight control. We just have so much CC on this team, it's actually ridiculous. Udyr stun, Ryze snare, Urgot ult, Lulu Q, Lulu W, Lulu ult, Caitlyn traps. We can keep someone in place, and they will not get away if we're all grouped up. And we actually have a very, very strong Protect the Caitlyn team. Now, you don't see a lot of these, usually because Caitlyn has such high range, and because Caitlyn is considered a strong carry compared to, say, Kog'Maw. But we have a very strong Protect the Caitlyn team because they don't have a strong carry themselves. Kennen has to be aggressive. He has to kind of dive in to use his ult. So if we just protect Caitlyn and kill Kennen, we have a carry up on them. Now, RINCENT's going to do something that is kind of dumb. Sorry, RINCENT. You play really well this game, but this is very, very silly of you. He goes for the blue steal here, and the reason this is such a bad idea is because they've had time to know A, we're there, and B, that we want to steal blue, because they saw the ward, they saw us harassing, they know we have vision. Once again, he gets them to blow Vladimir ult and Kennen ult, and a flash on Kennen, so that's actually pretty big, and we can fight them the second they are back up, or the second Urgot's back up. But still, it sucks to lose someone like that. And that ward right there, that ward is super important. That ward will change the game. And not for us. It will not make us snowball harder. But, you know, we're doing well. We know that without Kennen ult, without Vladimir ult, we can keep pushing. We can just be aggressive. These long cooldown ults, when they're used on one person, I mean, it's good to get a kill, but it's bad when it leaves yourself open to getting into these fights. And here, this exchange here, it's mostly Tryndamere being just caught by so many people. He's stuck in place for so long. He gets Urgot ulted, which still gets that second of CC, even with the interrupt by Janna. And we're just kind of able to pick them off as they just chase us out. Urgot, Ryze, Lulu, Caitlyn, we are like an artillery force, just bombing the enemy team. And we do this a lot this game. I don't really know why, but we just love tanking towers. This happens all the time in this game. And we don't really need to. We would have been fine in a few situations just to wait for creeps. But we never get punished too hard. And it's okay to tank a tower if you know in this case that they can't do anything. Like, what was Kennen gonna do? His ult was down, or his ult might have been up, but his flash was down for sure. So if you wanted to get to Caitlyn, he'd still have to dive on foot towards our team. So you can take risks when you manage enemy spells such as summoners or ults. And that's really where it starts to get kind of tricky. It's very, very mechanical to go, okay, can an ult up in 130 seconds? But it's very easy to forget it, especially because this game can give you quite a rush. And this is just massive CC wave coming onto that poor Riven. You get caught by one of us and we just kind of bombard you. Now, you'll notice that the game time said about 20 minutes when I said that the ward there would have a profound effect on this game. And it doesn't have a lot of time on it, just about, I don't know, 20 seconds left on it. Uh-oh. 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 Oh no. And it gets worse. It gets so much worse. Okay, RINCENT gets caught in the bush going back. Milks gets caught saving RINCENT. I am an idiot and get caught trying to save Milks. I get way too close and then I walk forward for some reason. I don't know if that was me miscontrolling or just weird input, but oops. And I get caught. Bobby Hankill gets caught saving me. Too pro for you is too pro for our team because he is not dumb and getting caught. Our entire team got caught because we're all idiots except too pro for you. Well, I already made that joke. Guess what they're gonna do? Guess what they're gonna do when 4 people on the enemy team just died for no reason except we forgot about a ward and we don't know how to leave people to die. This is a time where, you know what, just leave your team to die. They're not going to do anything to save them, especially when you go in 1 by 1 like that. That was just bad. There is no justifying what happened in that exchange except from us going, we're scared, we got to save them. But, if you couldn't guess, this is when the game starts to turn around. And I actually say we can still fight them. But that was me perceiving that we were actually equal in terms of farm. We're not, so they're actually ahead of us, and oops. Oops. But we'll see a whole lot more of that in part 2. Part 2 is going to be very, very big on base holding. But here we are again, we're back to the map. We're still confident that we can do things. And actually, if you control a fight, we really can. So we just got to make sure that we're not getting into horrible exchanges. Going for an objective like Dragon, we saw Cannon top. They're still kind of scared of us too. I think the fact that we were up so many kills did scare some sense into them. But they had gone back to base to buy, so we got that Dragon more or less for free. And even though we see them and that they're close by, we can do blue very, very quickly, and we're going to have vision on Cannon because of creeps. So even when they go for us, we know we're safe. And I put down a ward because I don't want to die. In part 2, we'll see the true collapse of our team. This is Studio saying, oh god.